we move to a slight more complex subject. It is about relationship that we have with the world around us. Why do we see what we see? Why do we see what we see? How do we fit into the scheme of existence? Matter, energy, and beyond. What is this world made up of? Our five senses of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch are our gateways to perceiving this world. They tell us that this world is made up of matter, objects in various forms, shapes, colors, and qualities. We see ourselves living in a three-dimensional world fundamentally made up of the five basic elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. We see the objects in this world undergoing change with time. They all undergo certain creation, sustenance, and dissolution with the passage of time. Classical physics tells us that matter is governed by the laws of physics, like the three laws of motion, the law of gravity, and the law of fluid dynamics, and so on. All objects are considered to be made up of molecules, which are made up of atoms, which in turn are made up of three types of particles: protons, neutrons, and electrons. We learned all these fundamental things in school. But according to the modern science, the world is not fundamentally made up of matter. The fundamental particles are not protons, neutrons, and electrons. Modern science says matter itself is actual energy. Albert Einstein's famous equation, E equals to mc square, where E is energy and m is the mass of the object and c is the speed of light, proves the equivalence of matter and energy. I have read a recent article which was published in US journal, which states about research that proved Einstein's equation. The fundamental particles in the nucleus themselves are considered to be made of smaller particles called quarks, which are bound by gluons. The surprising thing is the mass of gluons is 0 and the mass of quarks is only 5%. So the study says that the missing 95% comes from the energy of the moments and interaction of quarks and gluons. So energy and mass are equivalent. This truth, discovered by science a few decades ago, was declared by the Eastern rishis or Vedic scriptures in the Upanishads. The knowledge, the first line of the Isavasya Upanishad, written thousands of years ago, declares Isavasyam idam sarvam, which means all that exists is energy. Matter is vibrating energy. Matter is energy vibrating at various frequencies and manifesting itself in various forms. We are not able to see this vibration with our eyes because the frequency of the vibration are too high. It is just as when movement is too fast, the eye cannot perceive the moving objects as independent frames. The eye sees the objects merging into each other continuously. In the same way, the vibration of energy cannot be perceived by the eye. It appears to be solid matter. Energy is gross, form is matter. Energy in gross form is matter. Matter in subtle form is energy. The body is the gross manifestation of the subtle mind, and the mind is the subtle manifestation of the gross body. An important thing to be understood here is that the perception of the world varies from person to person because the functioning of the mind varies from person to person. Even interactions between people are only energy interactions. For example, an atom that consists a nucleus with a cloud of electrons around it can be compared to a football field. The nucleus is like a peanut in the center of a football field, and the cloud of electrons is like empty space in the field. Another comparison I came across, if you were to remove all the spaces between all the atoms on planet Earth, the remaining matter would come to just about the size of a sugar cube. What we see as solid matter as the football field in this example is actually the electron clouds, huge empty spaces interacting with each other in the same way. Our interactions and contact with other people and objects are also only interaction of energies. There is an exchange of energy that happens in you. You give some of your energy and you get energy from that person or object. The world of infinite possibilities. Now, what is the origin of matter and energy? What is the origin of the body and mind? From where does energy in all objects arise? What then is the reality behind this perceived world if we are not able to see reality as it is, as it exists through the senses? What is the nature of reality? This question is asked in Shiva Sutras and ancient Vedic scripture on the science of enlightenment. Shiva's consort Devi asks him, what is the nature of this wonder-filled universe? As a response, Shiva delivers 112 enlightenment techniques, which, when practiced, give the answer as a direct experience. The question about reality leads us to a world beyond matter and energy, beyond the limitations of space and time. This is the world where all the possibilities exist as seed. It is the essence and the origin of thoughts, and it is the essence and origin of events in the material world. In this world, beyond ordinary logic does not exist. Cause and effect relationship do not exist. The happening of one event does not cause another event to happen, but it is correlated with the other event that happens. This correlation has no dependence on space and time. So what we call as the seed is the ocean of infinite possibilities from which the waves of an event arises. This whole existence and all its events happen as causeless auspiciousness, like waves arising in the ocean. Existence is an ocean of bliss and ecstasy. Out of causeless, overflowing ecstasy, the wave of creation arises. the ocean of existence. That is how things happen. The divine, playing with its infinite manifestations in innumerable universes, is called sustenance. Dropping from the play and relaxing into itself is called dissolution. Dissolution is the settling back into the absolute or Parabrahma state. Then, for no logical reason, the play starts again. This continues. What we see as the results are the infinite happenings in the universe. The real nature we see. This causeless and ecstatic play of existence through our own individual perception. Our very perception collapses the beautiful happening into a localized reality. Each individual boils down the beautiful happening into his own individual reality. Someone asked me, I see this table here. All the people in this room see the same table. Then how can you say that this table is not a reality? Please understand that what you see as this table here is not the same as what the other person sees. Each person in this room or anywhere sees the table differently. That is the truth. That is what I am trying to explain here. As long as the mind tries to perceive, what is perceived is not the ultimate reality. Only an infinite being can perceive reality exactly as it is happening. He cannot explain it in words, because words cannot describe what is beyond space and time. He can only tell you to wait for it to become your own experience. That is why Shiva answers not with philosophy but with techniques. He gives directly techniques for Devi to experience the reality, the nature of the universe. Let me explain this concept based on an energy matter idea. We saw that matter is actually energy. Classical physics said that electron is a particle. However, quantum physics says that it is a wave. Actually, the electron exhibits the properties of both a particle and a wave in different situations. Physicists have now concluded that the electron has a dual nature as a particle wave. The act of observation collapses possibility into reality. Since the electron is a particle, what is the location of the electron? Since it is a wave, what is the momentum of the wave? The answers to this question lead to a very surprising discovery. That is, the particle wave can be either a particle or a wave, or even both at the same time. But you cannot determine both the location and the momentum of the electron at the same time, because the very act of observing the location of the electron will change its momentum, and the very act of determining the momentum of the electron will change its location. This is what is known in science as Heisenberg uncertainty principle. The particle wave is both a particle and a wave at the same time until the act of observation comes into play. This act of observation can now be connected with our act of observing the causeless happenings of existence. When we observe through our own set of conditioning, or what we call as engrams, which are preconceived and deeply engraved memories and conclusions. Each individual acts of observation is colored by his own conditioning or engrams. Based upon that, he boils down to the happening to suit his own experience of reality. In the case of particle wave, the very act of observation collapses. The wave particle to a particle or wave, this leads us to a deep understanding that both possibilities exist simultaneously, and it is the very act of observation that changes the possibility into a particular reality. Well, fine. This is enough for today. We will look at the second part tomorrow. Thank you.